Hello there, I'm Alex, a representative of MAAS Financial, and this is a presentation my group and I put together on combating social comparison theory. This presentation will define and outline social comparison theory, or SCT, which is a problem faced by a large demographic. We will focus on why SCT is a problem and also provide ideal solutions to overcome this issue. We will then go through the behavioral change framework by providing some behavioral economic or BE principles that are present among the target demographic, as well as other BE principles that can be leveraged to overcome SCT. A side note, conspicuous consumption is a phenomenon also identified by some researchers, namely Veblen, as spending outside of one's means for reasons of prestige. So now we must define social comparison theory. In order to help people face SCT, we must first have an understanding of what it actually is. According to the American Psychological Association, the current definition of SCT is the proposition that people evaluate their abilities and attitudes in relation to those of others in a process that plays a significant role in self-image and subjective well-being. There are three subcategories associated to social comparison theory. The first being downward social comparison, where you compare yourself to someone that is not equal to you. The second is lateral social comparison, where you compare yourself to someone that is more or less equal to you. Finally, what we will be focusing on mostly is upward social comparison, when you compare yourself to someone that you believe is better than you, or informally known as keeping up with the Joneses. MAAS Financial has found that one demographic most susceptible to this are couples under 45 that earn a moderate to high income level, mainly with dependent children. We chose this demographic because according to Stats Canada, this group makes up 45% of the population and 54% of loans. Also, Stats Canada identifies that there is a positive correlation between higher income individuals and larger debt loads. One explanation would be upward comparison that results in overconfidence. Some decisions that are being made because of this behavior are overspending. Examples are living outside of your means by purchasing a large home one cannot afford instead of a modest one, or going on luxury vacations on credit causing debt accumulation. Now that we understand which client behaviors we are trying to change, we can determine the ideal future state of clients in this demographic that deal with social comparison. So ideally, we would like to have our clients more focused on their own personal finances and to stop comparing themselves to others. This will allow the client to progress towards a state of increased financial well-being because it can help them make better decisions that are not influenced by what other individuals in different circumstances are doing. Potentially, this could result in having less debt accumulated and more debt repayments, for eventually gaining a sense of control over their own personal finances and increasing their confidence in the future. We believe that these individuals can do this because they would have a high enough income to rebound from past poor behaviors resulting from social comparison. Several behavioral principles exist when evaluating the target state. For a full list of BE principles, please refer to the appendix of the Design Behavioral Toolkit put together by Bridgeable. The BE principles that we identified that are most pressing are social proof and optimism bias. With social proof, individuals base their actions on what others are doing. This links to the idea of social comparison theory as mentioned, resulting in negative behaviors. In terms of optimism bias, the target demographic believes that things are going smoothly for them, while at the same time devaluing their potential problems. This generally leads the target demographic to overspend by having the expensive cars, going on vacation on credit, and ignoring their accumulating debt. In terms of design implications, we believe that providing real data would mitigate optimism bias by providing clients with statistics and information regarding what Canadians are doing. This could be like a financial planning survey that is available online, where it compared our results to those of other Canadians. Modeling uncertainty would take on social proof by showing the impact of uncertain events. Some examples of this could be job loss from poor performance or economic conditions, like what's happening right now. Then we would explain how it would negatively affect their car repayments, mortgage repayments, along with other debt payments, ultimately leading to poor financial well-being. To model uncertainty, we would focus on a worst-case scenario. There would be a feature that would allow individuals to calculate the income of savings needed to survive that scenario. Individuals can work towards achieving that amount as a goal. This calculation would take into consideration current and future interest rates, inflation, as well as other special circumstances. The total fund needed would be for a period of 3 to 6 months. Having an amount to work towards should influence the individual to reduce unnecessary spending and build up an emergency fund. For providing real data, we can develop an application that gathers data from households' various accounts and graphs various metrics such as monthly savings and monthly expenses as a percentage of total household income. Each client's individual charts can be superimposed on charts that display averages of each metric for other Canadians. Our client will then get a visual representation of how they can compare to other Canadians and provide a more comprehensive view of financial comparison across many dimensions, such as debt load and savings rates. This will help them understand that a lot of social comparison takes place out of context, and many people have material possessions in absence of financial well-being. This should help influence individuals towards better financial decision-making. Next, we will be developing new features in order to help nudge our client. 2 BE principles we have identified that can aid in nudging our client toward desirable behavior are giving feedback and gamification. We believe that giving periodic feedback on whether our client is doing well, mainly via email, will allow them to stay on course. Gamification, on the other hand, will turn the task of reaching the goal into a game, helping the target demographic remain accountable and achieve sustainability. This leads us to our design implications. To encourage good spending habits and savings behavior, we will provide progress updates to individuals, whether it be daily, weekly, or monthly. We would also allow push notifications that give individuals cheaper options, for example, price matching for products purchased. Like a notification can pop up that would direct the individual to a cheaper alternative for their next purchase. Label necessities and non-necessities and create visual representations of the percentage of spending in each category so individuals are nudged into reducing unnecessary spending, if applicable. We would also allow individuals to collect points on their purchases, like purchasing unnecessary items would result in point deductions, weighted depending on price. This is where gamification would be implemented. Individuals would be challenged to collect a certain number of points per period, whether daily, weekly, monthly, and so on, with bonus points awarded to those that can exceed their periodic target. Points collected can even be used to make other purchases like travel points or movie points, etc., and essentially reward good purchasing behavior and inspire continuous goal setting. To facilitate feedback and progress updates, our application would have an urgency notification, and individuals that continuously receive negative feedback regarding their progress, for example, missed goals, continuous purchasing behavior that is not in line with the recommendations provided by our financial planners, will be promoted to set up a meeting with a financial planner to discuss their issue. New goal setting, on the other hand, clients that have reached their target goals, such as achieving 6-month emergency fund using the point system, will be prompted to schedule a meeting. In this meeting, the client and the financial planner will be able to set new target goals with a new time frame, effectively creating a new game for the client if they need to. An example of a new goal could be repaying a student loan or increasing the amount of money put into a child's university fund. In conclusion, behavioral economics suggests that human behavior is not well categorized by traditional economics due to bounded rationality, limited self-control, and social preferences. Social comparison is an example of behavior that is grounded in behavioral economic principles. Understanding which principles are at play allow us as financial planners to mitigate or leverage certain behaviors based on insights about how they impact choices. This process is further supplemented with design elements that introduce and utilize other relevant behavioral economic principles that can help influence clients' decision making and guide them toward a desirable financial state.